Nation, what's going on? Brian Phillips, editor and staff writer here at PatsPulpit.com, coming at you with another episode of Deep Down the Middle, episode 5, joined by my co-host, Ryan Keiran. Ryan, how we doing this week, bud?
I'm good. I'm dealing with a dog who doesn't want to listen right now, but other than that, we're doing great. It's Combine week, living the dream. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing fantastic. Maya is the official show mascot, so if she wants to cause a ruckus, hey, she can do that. She's our right as of right now, our show's only official sponsor. So, light news week. Really, the only thing going on in Patriots land. Nick Caserio, he's back. Ryan, how much is this the huge underrated move that is absolutely critical to the Patriots offseason?
Not underrated because it's like when Dante Scarnecchia came out of retirement and everyone started saying, oh, he's one of the best offensive line coaches of all time, to sound smart, and then everyone started saying it as if no one else knew it, even though everyone else knew it. That's kind of how Nick Caserio's become. The I want to sound smart take now is, oh, Nick Caserio is crucial to what the Patriots do, which isn't necessarily wrong. What he's done has been great. So it is, I would say it is critical to the return. I think that, having more smart minds in the building is never a bad thing. I do wonder how much of a difference it would have made if he did leave, but it's always great to have him back.
I agree. I just don't think it's this man. It's not like it's going to be a wrench in the gears. The machine's going to keep moving when he eventually leaves. There's only so many jobs out there for him. 32 jobs, on the planet. General manager jobs. So the cards just didn't fall in his favor this year. But eventually, he's going to get the opportunity to go somewhere else and try to build something, which I want for him. I want for everybody that has success in Foxborough to go out and do their own thing and see if they can succeed. That's fun. It's fun to watch the Belichick tree infiltrate the entire league, like it has done for 20 years. But like I said, I don't think even when he does leave, I don't see it, stopping this machine that Bill Belichick has built. All right, light news week around the NFL as well. A couple of contracts to talk about. Chuck Clark, safety in Baltimore, get a modest deal. I believe somewhere around $15 million over 3 years. Star Lotulelei, defensive tackle in Buffalo, takes a pay cut, restructures, keeping his compensation in line with his performance. Brandon Dunn, it was just reported today here on Wednesday evening, interior defensive lineman for the Texans. He's going to be inking a deal as well. And then looks like Greg Olsen is a Seattle Seahawk. 5.5 guaranteed for the old geezer in Carolina. Now going to be going to the other coast. Ryan, is this a loss? Should the Patriots have been in on a Greg Olsen?
No, Greg Olsen. No, I don't think that. I don't think he really moves the needle a whole lot. I think if Will Dissly's healthy in Seattle, which is a big if given his injuries the past couple of years, that Greg Olsen isn't even going to be the best tight end on the roster. I think it would have been like a slightly better Ben Watson coming in from this year if Ben played the whole year. So there are better options. If they're going to go like a cheaper option like that, I'd rather see them draft someone than bring in ancient Greg Olsen.
I think it was interesting to see Buffalo in on Greg Olsen. You and I were talking earlier about Dawson Knox stepping up and having a nice rookie campaign where you don't really see that out of tight ends at all.
Right.
Specifically, TJ Hawkinson's going to be a stud in Detroit, but he had a tough year dealing with injuries, dealing with NFL speed, dealing with NFL edge rushers.
You have to learn how to. You have to learn how at a tight end. You have to learn how to beat NFL DBs in the passing game and learn how to block NFL defensive linemen and linebackers in the run game. Like it's a hard position to adjust to.
And we know that Buffalo is in this rookie quarterback contract. We're going to be spending and looking to bring in weapons to put around Josh Allen to go along with that defense. They're gonna be pretty nasty.
Amari Cooper.
Bite your tongue. Okay. Like I said, light NFL news week. Just today, Greg Robinson, left tackle, for the Rams and Lions and Browns, was reported arrested on a marijuana charge, which brought up the other news point this past week. I believe it was from last weekend, where it was floated that the rumors are that that marijuana testing would be reduced to a 2-week window in the calendar, which is the most NFL thing I think I've ever heard. It's absurdly stupid. My biggest thing on that is the marijuana being made into such a huge deal by ownership. Like, hey, we are giving in so much on this marijuana issue. Look at how we're bending over backwards for you, players union. When in reality, it's really a common sense thing and should just be off the table anyway. But Ryan, any thoughts on the marijuana thing before we get into our main topic this week?
So my only thought is that he was arrested with possession and intent to distribute or to sell.
Ooh.
And just the actual visual of like a 6'8" NFL left tackle walking out to the corner and trying to sell someone anything is just very funny to me.
Not very inconspicuous, or not very conspicuous. Grammar. This is not a grammar podcast. Okay.
Audio medium.
Moving on to our topic this week. Since it's Combine week, and we know the NFL is a 365 day, 366 day this year. I believe it's a leap year. News cycle. The first being that the Combine is really the first major thing on the schedule. The debate is, does the Combine stink? And I'm here to tell you that the Combine absolutely does stink. And here's the reason why. It's because my main issue is the performance drills that are talked to death, specifically the 40-yard dash and the bench press. Practically everything we're seeing them do from a drills perspective, if you can't discern the player's skill on tape, there's nothing that these tests, and it's been beaten to death on Twitter, but there's nothing these tests can't show you on tape. And if they're popping up in the drills they weren't showing up on tape, it's simply a matter of the fact that these guys are coaching their bodies for these drills. We've heard multiple times from guys that, I ran a 4.7 and then I trained for literally 3 weeks or a month on how to run a 40-yard dash effectively. And I clocked in at a 4.58. That 4.58 from a 4.7 is what is going to bring you over most teams' thresholds. So here's my thing. What I would like to see, if the NFL... First of all, I would scrap the whole damn thing, make it a regional thing, don't even televise, don't even make it an event, because that's how much I think the production is stupid. But since we've gone down the road, there's no turning back now. If you're going to make it a production, make it a real production about the things that matter. Now, obviously, you can't go behind the scenes and get guys' medicals. There's HIPAA laws, you can't violate the medical stuff. But the most important aspect of this entire scouting combine week is the player interviews, and we have no insight into it as fans. And it's something that if you're gonna make a production out of this entire thing, I want in on it, and it's something I would pay to do. How would you do it? Who knows? Would the teams complain? Every single one of them would. You get 32 teams complaining about allowing cameras into their interview process. I'm not here to roll out the entire format or structure on this thing. But, hey, your conference lost the Super Bowl. These 16 teams have to allow cameras into a certain portion of their interview process, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about all the rules and how you did it, but I would pay minimum $50 to watch a special on behind the scenes of how these teams are going through their draft process and their interview process for these players. I want to see guys up at the whiteboard. I want to see the interactions with the coaching staff and how these guys are handling questions. And, it would be an incentive to not have some of these ridiculous questions you hear pop up, some of these horror stories, and from some of these player interviews. Ryan, how far off base am I here?
I mean, you're not entirely off base. I disagree. I disagree with the premise that the combine stinks. I think people look at the combine the wrong way. I think that the combine is a good bucket sorter. So in good and bad ways. I don't think that we should be saying, "Oh, John Ross ran a 4.2440. He's a lock to be in the top 10 now." I think that we are 4.21, whatever whatever the record was. I think that, however, that we should be looking at certain thresholds at certain positions and saying, okay, if you run a sub 7-second 3-cone as an edge rusher, I'm going to pay attention to you. It doesn't mean that you're good automatically, but now I'm intrigued by you. And if I wasn't before, I'm going to go look at you. If you run a 4.7 as a wide receiver, 40-yard dash, you're not a wide receiver. You're just not. You're not. If you run a 4.65, I will have doubts, but give you a shot. Like if you run a 4.7, that's it. I think Jarvis Landry ran a 4.7, and that is that's the slowest I'll go. And then there are some positions that I just don't care. I don't care what a quarterback does at the combine. I really don't. That's where I care about interviews that we don't get to see. And I do. There's no way it would ever happen, but I do. Ideally, would like to see how interview process goes. See guys on the whiteboard. Just would never ever happen. So it's not even worth really thinking about. Make the QB throwing drills where they throw into wide receivers. Put a DB on the field. Make it more realistic. Because right now, the only thing that you can say is if someone looks bad throwing against air quarterback, they're done. I don't care about you. As long as you don't look atrocious at throwing against air, you're probably going to raise your stock at the combine as a quarterback. So I think that how we look at the combine needs to change. And I think that they're forcing this, primetime event just because that's what the NFL does, when I don't think that many people actually care that much about it. And I think they're going to learn that this year now that it's on prime time. But, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the thirst for football. So that's just that strong. But it's something that I personally don't care about watching at all. Like, I just want to see the numbers after the fact. And I think there are situations and players where, how they do at the combine is going to impact how I think about them, just because they're kind of in that in-between state where I'm not entirely sure. And that's only a couple players every year, but that's where it does matter. Sure. So I don't fully disagree with you. I think that it's more that the combine is looked at the wrong way than I think the combine is useless.
Fair. And I understand my want to look into the inside of this, the behind the scenes of player interviews, how unrealistic that is. Of course it's unrealistic, but if I was changing anything that was realistic, and then you kind of touched on it, is I want to see. I don't want to see guys thrown against air. I'd rather have more time spent on how fast can you process information that you couldn't prepare for, and that is facing other guys. That is learning. We gave these groups of guys. Put guys in groups and give them a series of plays that they have to learn. On the fly, or the day before. They have one day to install 10 plays and learn their assignments quickly, and then have them go against defenders, and see what these guys are doing with information that they didn't have they weren't privy to beforehand. Mix it up a little bit. My God, and you know what? I can't watch Rich Eisen run one more 40-yard dash.
No, thank you.
I can't do it.
For a good cause. But
sure. No, but give the money anyway, and then just just don't do it. Okay. Anything else to add on the combine before we move on?
Yeah,
it's kind of boring. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring as hell.
The issue, I think the issue production wise in the way that it currently exists is that they decided that the 40-yard dash is the premier, and I just do not care about the 40-yard dash in most cases, unless someone's going to threaten to break the record. And even then, I didn't even see John Ross's record breaker. I've never seen it. I just, I got the notification like 5 hours later when I got back to my phone that day.
When you watch these guys run these 4.2s and 4, like, you can't see that it's a record. You can't be like, this is about to be a record. You can't know. Nothing matters until
you wait to see the timer, and then you wait like an hour to see the official time.
Right.
I think that if they shifted that premier focus to be on the drills and they made the drills a little bit more competitive, like I think the gauntlet for wide receivers is a cool one. Not that it's perfect, but it does show an ability to quickly react to passes and to also maintain your I don't know how to explain it properly, but like it maintain the way that you're moving because they're running along a straight line, constantly shifting their focus. So you'll see some guys that can just stay on that line and turn and make catches. And you'll see guys that are kind of, as they turn their head, they're like swerving back and forth. And that type of stuff matters. Body control matters at wide receiver. So I think that's at least interesting.
How comfortable are you moving,
right.
With again, that's information. How fast do these guys process information and do their bodies react to it? Is all important stuff. I just think there's ways that we could see it better. Now, before we move on,
you just need to not overreact to that too, because I remember one year watching the gauntlet. Cody Core, wide receiver from Ole Miss the year Laquan Treadwell also came out, killed the gauntlet. I was all in on him. He carved out a decent career for like a 7th round pick. He's like a special teamer, had some wide receiver stuff for the Bengals, but he's nothing.
Right. The only gauntlet I really would care about and I would like to see, and if I could change anything, it would be the gauntlet would be the Double Dare gauntlet from early 90s Nickelodeon. Can you make it through the nose with the gack and the, okay. All right. We are right on schedule here, Ryan. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is the best we've ever done.
A minute and a half each on one transaction or prospect or something you'd like to see happen this Patriots offseason. Ryan, go.
I'm throwing an audible on you from what we talked about pre-show because you reminded me right before we went live that I wanted to talk about Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama. So this is an example of someone whose combine I am going to care about because I think that he does everything well at safety. He does nothing spectacularly. He's a solid run defender. He can handle tight ends and man coverage. He's a solid zone defender. He's very smart. He can play as a deep safety in cover one as the single high. He can play cover 2 safety. He can play the star position. He can play the money backer position. And he's a 2-year starter under Nick Saban. And the Patriots are going to have a need at safety. I think Patrick Chung needs to be upgraded on this year. I think that if he is back, you can get away with one more year of him. But even then, that should be the last. This should be the last year of Patrick Chung at most. Devin McCourty feels like he's gone. I hate it. Feels like he's gone. So even if you're upgrading on Patrick Chung and Devin McCourty is gone, you have Deron Harmon. They experimented with Jawan Williams at safety. I'd like to see that experiment continue. And then you still need one more, I think. And Xavier McKinney, you trade down. You could probably make him at the top of the second round the most successful Bill Belichick second round defensive back. You can recuperate assets that you lost from Mohamed Sanu, whether it's at the end of the first or at the beginning of the second, and then you can get another smart player at that position. My concerns with him is that I'm not sure what type of athlete he is because I just can't tell. He looks like a solid athlete. He doesn't really stand out. He never got dusted by elite athletes. He never looked like his athleticism popped on tape though. So I am curious to see how he does this at the combine. If he comes out and tests worse than I expected, then maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me and I lower him a little bit. If he comes out and same thing the other way. If he comes out and tests great, then maybe maybe that solidifies how I feel about him. But Xavier McKinney as ideally a trade down candidate to the late 20s, early 30s in the draft, recuperate an asset or two, and then take him, get some much needed youth into the safety position.
Okay. All right. So if the Patriots if they aren't allowed to trade their entire draft for Stephon Diggs, which is probably not on the table. I know, you guys. I know. There's probably no team in football that needs an infusion of speed in their offense more than New England Patriots, and it's something we've talked about since Randy Moss, for the love of God. A guy that's out there who's under contract, and this is a Patriots-esque situation here. It's kind of the same thing we saw with Jason McCourty, a guy who's on the outs at his current spot and can be picked up probably before he gets cut for a little late round pick swap. And this is Marquise Goodwin, the San Francisco 49ers receiver who signed a pretty solid deal a couple of years ago. In 2017, he had just under, I believe, 60 catches for 952 yards. Even over the last 2 years, which he's been dealing with some injuries, he's averaged 17.2 yards a catch. Ended his season this past year on IR, and obviously we know all of the young weapons that San Francisco has been adding over the last couple of years, so he was kind of phased out even before that happened. But the guy is still literally an Olympic athlete. Literally an Olympic athlete. Even if injuries slow him down a little bit, he'll still be probably the fastest pure straight line receiver in the division, maybe outside of John Brown. John Brown can move, but man, you need a guy that has some straight line speed to take the top off the defense a little bit, and maybe earn some of that sweet defensive pass interference yardage we saw Brandon Cooks rack up. And it can, like I said, it can be done probably for a late round pick swap before they cut him. And you'd get 2 years of control on him. So, yes, he's going to be 29 years old, but you get a $4.3 million cap hit this year and a $5.85 next year. That can be worked around. You can even extend and restructure a little bit. And then, of course, you're going to have a little more when you maybe just cut Mohamed Sanu or restructure Mohamed Sanu, because $6.5 million cap hit from Mo Sanu, not going to happen. Not from me anyway. Okay. I ran a little long. You ran a little long, Ryan. Anything to add before we let the loyal listeners go this week?
Brandon Cook died for our sins, and Patriots fans don't appreciate him enough.
Oh, man, it's you don't know what you got until it's gone, right?
Right.
Except for Chris Hogan. We know what Chris Hogan is and was. Yeah.
Brandon Cook's most hated 1,000-yard receiver in Patriots history.
Unbelievable. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Follow Ryan Keiran on Twitter at Ryan_Keiran, Keiran. Follow me while you're on there at bphillips_SB. Make sure you're going to patspulpit.com all off season long for your coverage, and follow them on Twitter as well at Pats Pulpit. Hey, we've got an Instagram handle going, Pats.pulpit on Instagram. We are, we're with the times here. We're young and we are hip, and we are not all old people like myself. Not all of us anyway. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next week. All right, go Pats.